My name is Sari van Poelje. I'm the Managing Director of Intact Academy, and I'm also a specialist in business innovation. I help businesses innovate their leadership, their cooperation, and their client relationships more quickly than they innovate their products. One of the things we've been talking about is how people interact and how people can communicate effectively. What happens if people don't communicate effectively? What happens if people are more invested in wanting to keep their own reality and story than in actually being really in touch and changing? Within transactional analysis, we talk about 5 ways people keep their story and keep their own reality going without getting into real contact and really changing. One of the ways people keep their own negative reality or reality is by redefinition. Redefinition means that you distort your reality to fit your own life story, and so never to change. The second way people maintain their stories is through symbiosis. Symbiosis is when you create a fake dependency by pretending that your 1 and 1 is less than 2. Let's put it that way. And we'll talk more about that. It's when you fill out each other's sentences and think you're not complete without the other person. The third way people maintain their own story is through racket and racket feelings. Now, it's really interesting. We talk about authentic feelings in TA and we talk about racket feelings. Authentic feelings are real reactions to the here and now. Racket feelings are feelings that you learned or were allowed to have, and they're really linked to your past experience. So sometimes people come to me and they say, oh, I'm really scared. And I go, what are you scared of? And they go, well, nothing's happening at the moment, but it might. And we call that a racket feeling, and we'll talk more about that. It's one of the ways you keep into the past instead of the present. The fourth way people really maintain their own stories is through discounting. Now, discounting is consciously or unconsciously ignoring information that could lead to problem solving. We do that in many ways. Some people deny even the existence of a problem. Sometimes that's functional, sometimes it's dysfunctional. Mostly you hear we talk about dysfunctional ways you do that. Sometimes people see the problem, but deny it's a problem. So they go, yep, I'm smoking, but no one's ever proved you get sick from that. Other ways to do it is by discounting the possibilities of solutions, your responsibility. Anyway, there are all ways in which you can keep your own reality going and not be in the here and now and just open to problem solving. So we're going to talk a lot about that later. The fifth way we actually maintain our own reality and stop ourselves from solving problems in the here and now is called psychological games. Now, psychological games is one of the basic concepts within TA. We talk about games a lot. And actually, one of Eric Berne's first books was called Games People Play. He wrote that in the 70s, beginning 70s, and it became so popular that everyone was talking about it, games people play. Someone wrote a song about it. I can let you listen to that later. We can use it as a soundtrack. But it became part of the popular speech in the 70s. Now, a game is really a series of technically, it's a series of ulterior transactions which lead to a predictable payoff. And we'll explain more about that later. But basically, you can think of it as the conversations you have at home about who puts out the trash. You know those conversations when someone goes, it's your turn, and you go, no, I cooked. And then you go, yeah, but we had this conversation before. And someone goes, no, look, I've done what I should. And then someone else goes, if you really love me. And then you feel this switch and this real gamey invitation, we call it. And then by the end of the conversation, the trash is still in the house, but everyone is talking about, should we have this relationship or not? It's those kind of conversations that keep you linked in old patterns and not in the here and now and not solving your problems.